History has never had a shortage of disastrous rulers. In fact, when it comes to the most evil and worst of rulers, this entire video could be filled with Roman emperors. Many kings throughout history have brought their kingdoms to ruin or shame through their insanity, incompetence, inadequacy, or immaturity. But none of these can beat the most evil kings in history that terrorized their populace with cruelty and mostly insanity. Ruthless and violent, Roman emperors are known for their tyrannical reigns of terror. Just the names of the likes of Caligula, Nero, Domitian, Geta, Caracalla, and Commodus invoke immense power and great fear. They were known by the Roman populace as tyrants, blasphemers, murderers, madmen, and perverts. However, among the many contenders for the worst Roman king, Caligula's mad reign sets an indefinitely high standard. Caligula was known for his lavish projects, his sadism, and his eccentricity. Caligula instituted a reign of terror through arbitrary arrest for treason as it pleased him. It was also widely rumored that he was engaged in incest with his sisters and that he lived a life of sexual debauchery. He once had his army construct a 2-mile floating bridge so he could gallop along it on his horse. It stretched 3 miles across the waters of the Bay of Naples and served only one purpose: for Caligula to have a grand entry at ancient Rome's most fashionable seaside resort of Baiae. Caligula's fall from grace was when he jeopardized Rome's military reputation and the faith of his soldiers by declaring a surreal war on the Neptune, the god of the sea. He ordered his soldiers to wade in and slash at the waves with their swords and collect chests full of seashells as the spoils of his victory over the gods of the seas. He reportedly also had his warships form a line over the Adriatic Sea and had the soldiers jab the sea with their spears. He built a lavish house for his horse Incitatus and attempted to appoint the steed to the high office of consul, though he was assassinated by the Praetorian Guard in AD 41 before he could complete the promotion, and by his failed campaign against the Germans, for which he still awarded himself a triumph. He was assassinated by the Praetorian Guard in AD 41. Prince Ivan Vasilievich grew up at the hazardous court of Moscow, his life often in danger from the rivalry of the boyars, nobles. It gave him a lifelong hatred of the nobility and a deep streak of ruthless cruelty. Aged 13, he had one boyar eaten alive by dogs. He crushed the boyars, stealing their lands to give to his own followers. He also condemned millions of Russians to a permanent state of serfdom. The first Tsar of all Russia and the first to hold that title, Ivan IV expanded Moscow's influence into the lands of the ancient Eastern European Federation known as the Kievan Rus. Ivan promulgated wide-ranging reforms, centralized administration, and created the black-clad forerunners of Russia's dreaded secret police. Ivan took a vast area of Russia as his personal domain, patrolled by the mounted secret police force with carte blanche to arrest and execute as they liked. He created his own private fiefdom, the Oprichnina, through which he exerted total control of as much as 1/3 of the Muscovite realms. In 1581, Ivan murdered his own son and heir, striking him with a pointed staff in a fit of rage, as well as beating up his pregnant daughter-in-law. He took great pleasure in bringing members of the nobility to heel through torture and sadistic executions. When he distrusted the nobles of the city of Novgorod, he had it violently sacked and its inhabitants massacred, and he embarked on a disastrous and ultimately unsuccessful series of wars with Russia's neighbors. John was the youngest and favorite son of Henry II, but he had not been entrusted with any lands and was mockingly nicknamed Prince John Lackland. He tried unsuccessfully to seize power while his brother Richard was away on crusade and was sent into exile upon Richard's return. On his accession, John had his own nephew Arthur murdered. Fearing Arthur might pursue his own, much better, claim to the throne, and he embarked on a disastrous war with King Philip August of France in which he lost the whole of Normandy. This singular act of incompetence deprived the barons of an important part of their power base. In exasperation, they forced him to accept Magna Carta. No sooner had he sealed it, however, than he then went back on his word and plunged the country into a maelstrom of war and French invasion. Some tyrants have been rehabilitated by history, but not John. Ruling the Hunnic Empire from 434 to 453 Attila, the Hun was known as the Scourge of God. The Huns were nomadic Eurasian barbarians, whose fighters were known to be expert horsemen. Attila was considered a brilliant and a savage military leader. After seizing power for himself by killing his older brother Bleda, Attila went on to expand his empire into areas of Germany, the Balkans, and Russia. At its greatest extent, Attila's empire stretched from the eastern banks of the Rhine to the western shores of the Caspian Sea. In 434, he negotiated a tribute with the Eastern Roman Empire under the threat of an invasion. Emperor Theodosius I agreed to pay some 700 pounds of gold annually as a promise of peace between the Huns and Romans. But just a few years later, Attila claimed the Romans had violated the treaty and led a devastating series of attacks on Eastern Roman cities in 441. With Hun forces looming just 20 miles of Constantinople, Theodosius I was forced to negotiate terms, and agreed to pay Attila the unimaginable sum of 2,100 pounds of gold per year. His horde plundered and terrorized Eastern Europe, Germany as well as Gaul for over 2 decades. Attila swarmed through the countryside and cities of Gaul and northern Italy with a force of 200,000 horsemen. He only lost once in his entire lifetime in the Battle of Catalaunian Plains against a Roman-Goth alliance in 451. However, this victory was short-lived for the Roman, as they found Attila at their gates the next year to reclaim his honor, much to their terror. King Leopold earned his right as the most evil king in history from the crimes committed in the enormous kingdom he carved out for himself in Congo. He obtained the territory by international agreement and named it the Congo Free State. It was not a Belgian colony, but the king's personal fiefdom. The Congo Free State was presented to the world as a model of liberty and prosperity devoted to the elimination of slavery. Only gradually did the world learn that it was in fact a slave state in which the Congolese were ruled in terror. As Leopold raked in the riches from Congo's enormous reserves of copper, ivory, and rubber, the Congolese were forced to work by wholesale mutilation of their wives and children, usually by chopping off their hands or feet. Mutilation was also widely used as a punishment for workers who ran away or collected less than their quota. An investigation by the British consular official Roger Casement revealed that the Belgian force publique regarded the Congolese as little more than animals to be killed for sport. The king fought a high-profile legal battle to prevent details of his regime in Congo from being made public, and it took an international campaign to force him to hand Congo over to the Belgian government. The tyranny of King Leopold's rule over Congo cannot be contained in a few minutes. To know more about the most evil man in history, check out this video. There have been many insane and cruel rulers throughout mankind's time on this earth. Who do you think was the most cruel king of all time? Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned to find out more about the cruelty of ages past. Liberating the past from the cruelty of mankind, this is Time Capsule. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching. See you again next time on Time Capsule.